Hey, Randy, are you on?
I am here.
All right.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
My technology challenged wife is, I think she's sending up smoke signals.
Oh, no.
She's gone to Western Union.
Oh, let me let her in. I think she'll be coming in now.
Okay, she thinks she let you in.
Somebody's buzzing.
Okay. They can't hear you because I got this one, I think.
Get on again. Yeah.
No, okay. Well, just sit out there and try.
Hi, Randy.
Hi, Mary Pat. Hi, Pat. Let's see. Lynette is here with Cruise Holidays. That's who we use here in town to book our
Yeah.
trips. And she's been working with me a long time and still answers the phone, which is great. And we have Mary Pat Burson and Pat. And then we got the Downhams, Bill and Carolyn.
Ready?
And full disclosure, Bill and Carolyn went on Tanzania 2019, and they went to Botswana in 2022. And Pat, just for your general information, I really try hard to bring everybody home that we take on these trips.
He might be an exception.
Well, yeah. Well, it depends on how he acts. And Mary Pat, that's up to you.
Trying to figure out if that's
Can
us.
everybody hear?
Well, somebody's buzzing. I don't know if it's us or somebody else.
Buzzing, bad
Oh,
buzzing.
it's better now.
Is it okay?
I don't hear it now.
Yeah, I don't know if somebody changed something, but it's gone.
All right. Well, Barb is still trying to click on. Okay. So Lynette, we've been working on this for a bit now,
Yeah, we have.
and we've been working. It's the real devil of these trips is in the detail, and we've had a lot of little bitty things that we've been working on. And so I think we've got everything. You got the final copy of the. Hang on, I've got to turn the speaker off.
Yeah, it's coming.
My speakers are bad.
And I don't know if we mute, maybe that will help a little bit too.
What?
When if we mute while someone else is talking, that might help a little bit too.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I think Barb is on now. I don't think she's got her microphone on, which is probably okay. Well, she couldn't get. Okay, good, honey. We don't see you yet, though.
I know. Well, I told you I have a little exclamation point by my. I don't know.
Anybody know what that means? By her camera on her computer, there's a little yellow exclamation point.
Probably my camera's on.
Don't know.
Well, you don't have to see me.
I'll see if I can find a photo of you and I'll put it on. Okay, so this was kind of general information sharing and a lot of stuff. And Mary Pat and Pat, since you haven't gone on one of these before, we want you to make sure you ask all the questions that you have, and you'll have time after this to do so. But I thought maybe Lynette will kind of walk through day by day, and maybe we'll pause at the end of each day if anybody's got questions about the trip in general or that day. Any Mary Pat, Bill, Carolyn, any burning questions to begin with?
What's the weather going to be like?
The weather?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, you basically are on the equator, but you are at elevation. I think elevation is around what it is in Denver. So it's always pretty dry. We're past rainy season. So we should, now there's always the possibility, you know, today isn't a typical day in Kansas City. But we always recommend, and Barb supplies a clothing list for everybody, and we dress in layers, lots of layers, like going to the golf course on a really chilly morning, and you might put on 3 or 4 layers of poly tops and vests, and then as the day progresses, the sun can get pretty warm since you're on the equator. So
Mary
it's
Pat, it can get down in the 40s though at night, but during the day
Okay.
it's usually 70s to, you know,
Yeah.
well,
There-
it's real comfortable during the day, and it's just really at night that it might get a little cooler.
Okay.
Yeah, and when we're on the crater rim for 2 nights, that'll be the coldest because we're up on the top rim of the crater, so that'll be the chilliest. But I did just read that I believe all of the facilities there have, I think they've got fireplaces in each of the units,
Which would be
and
kind of fun.
I don't think we have to cut our own firewood though. So I guess let's begin. We are the trip. The brochure says June 1st to June 10th, but we actually will be leaving Kansas City on May 31st in order to get there. And last time we did Tanzania in 2019, and Barb and I did decide to go a day early, and we overnighted in Amsterdam. An old classmate of mine, and he and his wife went with us, accompanied us, and we decided to meet in Amsterdam for a night, which broke up that long airline trip. So that's something to consider as we get into making air reservations. Most likely, usually East Africa. Traditionally, we've gone on KLM, and I know Lynette and her crew are going to explore everything to look for pricing and then how long it takes to get there. If that's how we fly, we normally leave here noon, early afternoon, fly to Atlanta or Detroit, and then take a plane from there to Amsterdam, fly overnight, have a few short hours, turn around there, layover, and then jump on a plane in the late morning, early afternoon, and then fly another 8 hours, and land in Arusha, Tanzania. Our plane lands at 8:20 or 9:20.
Right around 8 o'clock usually.
Yeah, if we follow through. At that time, there'll be people there to meet us at that airport and get us all the way through customs. In the pricing of the safari, we've added the cost of a visa, so that will take care of all of that stuff before you don't want to do that in an airport if you don't have to. Then that crew will get us through customs, out the door, and our safari guides will meet us at that point. It's getting pretty late at night, 10:30, and then we jump in vehicles and drive to our first overnight in Arusha, and it's at the Arusha Coffee Lodge, which Barb and I have not stayed there, but we stopped there for lunch on a trip long ago. A really, really nice place. Much more, Bill, Carolyn, on the far side of Arusha. So when we stayed at River Camp last time, we were on the eastern edge of Arusha. This time we're pretty far into the city. So we're much closer to the little Arusha airport when we come back from the Serengeti. We overnight there. It's late, but we will have dinner there. They've got a 24-hour restaurant primary menu item is pizza, but I think they've got a few other items. And by that time, you'll need a little something to eat. You'll want a drink to toast that your arrival in God's country. And the night goes quickly. We won't get to bed midnight, 1 o'clock maybe. We'll get up the next morning for breakfast, have breakfast at the coffee lodge, and then load up the vehicles. And what I've asked on this trip, we did last time, we stopped at the Tanzanian greatest gift store, art store in the country.
Yes.
And
And
That-
it's-
Randy,
it is right before my birthday.
Randy. And that's close to Carolyn's birthday. Don't do this to me again.
It is the if you like jewelry at all, Mary Pat, the Tanzanite, it's a, I guess, semi-precious stone. The only place you can find it is in Tanzania, and this store has a great selection. But we stopped there on the way in because if you decide to get a piece of jewelry or something, they can make it for you, or you can buy off the shelf. But they also have tons of other typical Tanzanian souvenirs, carved animals, just all kinds of shops and art gallery in this facility. So we make a quick stop for you to kind of take a look because we really try not to get big time. If you're going to buy something big, we don't want you to get something big while you're out on safari because we can't get it back on the small plane. So hauling it becomes an issue. So we'll stop back at that cultural center when we come back into town to pick up things or arrange for you can have stuff shipped home from there too. So then we'll stop there briefly and then we hit the road. We're on actually pretty good roads, pretty good blacktop roads. About a 2.5 hour drive out to Tarangire National Park. We do stop at the midpoint. Again, another souvenir stand, but they do have restrooms, good restrooms. And of course, they're always in the sell mode. So they're always trying to sell you something. But it's good to stretch your legs a little bit. Then we head on out to Tarangire. We are going to have a lunch at a lodge that we won't be staying at, but it will kind of break that trip up again. We'll stop there for lunch. And after that, we're at Tarangire Safari Lodge. After that, we will get back in the Land Rovers and take a leisurely drive to get to the camp we'll be staying in, the Mapingo Lodge. Mapingo is a lot newer than Tarangire Safari Lodge, and it's very quaint. I think 15 units max, and our group will have 6 of them. So we're kind of the majority of the residents of all of these camps we'll be staying at. Tarangire is really known for having a lot of elephants. You're always lucky to see them. We always try to find them. If we can find big cats, we will. And it's also the place where we'll see baobab trees, which are really unique. I think there's a photo, I believe, of one on the first page of the guide. They kind of look like upside down trees. Looks like the roots are sticking up out of the ground. Gorgeous trees. So it's a great park, a lot of wildlife, a really nice place to start. So we will get to our lodge. We'll get unpacked. I believe the order of events will be to have dinner, and then we're going to go out on a nighttime game drive. It's the only place where we'll be able to do that. So we'll be out at night looking for nocturnal animals, which is kind of an experience because out there in those vehicles, it doesn't get any darker. The sky, you almost need a flashlight to see your hand in front of your face. But the guides, they they usually run without their lights on, and have spotters with them, and they look with big searchlights trying to see eyeballs. And it's a pretty neat experience. So that's your first big time adventure at Tarangire. We'll go back to the camp, probably have a nightcap, talk about what we saw, and hit the sack, and then we'll get up the next morning pretty early and have breakfast, and then we'll go out for our official morning game drive. That usually lasts up to 3 hours. They usually stop midway and have coffee and bring some cookies or snacks, and then probably go back to the Mapingo for lunch. We have the option there of staying out all day, but I'm not sure. I'll talk to the guides if we're going to see anything extra. You're still pretty much getting over jet lag. You know, you got adrenaline pumping because of where you're at, but it takes a few days to get all the cobwebs out. And then traditionally, every day is pretty similar, that we take a break in the afternoon because the animals usually do. The heat of the day, animals are up early, and then they start rousing again around 3:30, 4 o'clock. And they start wandering and get active again, eating. And we'll stay out a few hours. We usually stop and have a sundowner, which is scheduled for that day, and which is stop for cocktails. They bring snacks. And most of the camps, I don't think this will be any different, but they'll ask you before we go if you want a cocktail or wine or beer, whatever you want, they'll take along. Can you hear back there? Oh,
Hi,
Well,
Barb.
I'm going to take my headphone off so I can put the sound on. I usually can't hear that well on this computer, but okay. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Mhm. Yes,
Yes.
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 Okay. I can just barely hear them.
Yeah, we'll put your headphones on.
But you can't listen.
No, well, okay. Oh, good, great.
You'll listen to half of it.
Okay, I'll see if I can tell Lynette to watch for me, because I was trying to get in and she didn't receive me.
Oh,
can
and
hear
I just did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My computer just doesn't have volume when I use the jack. So that's kind of Tarangire. Lynette, anything you can think of to add?
I think you've pretty well covered it. Yep, so you'll spend the full day in Tarangire before going on to the Lions Spa camp. Oh,
So that would be day 3. That would be day 3.
Day 4 is when you'll travel to Lions Paw camp.
Okay.
I think, Randy, are we with you? We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay. Good. Okay. Any questions, anybody thus far?
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Well, then traditionally, this is when we drive further out, and Lynette, can you let Barb in? For the love of God, it looks like
Oh,
she's in. Okay, but I'll proceed. We start heading out further into the wild. we're on pretty good roads again. We'll leave Tarangire, and we don't go too far, and we get to a national park that's on a lake. It's called Lake Manyara, and there's not a whole lot there, but it is a true tourist must stopover. So what we've changed it up a bit this time. We're gonna go in the park. It's kind of a one road in, one road out type of park. You're out and back. But we could see a lot of monkeys in this park, pretty good birds. It's pretty foresty. Last time we had a picnic lunch in the park, and everybody stops at the same time and does the same thing. So we're not going to do that this time. We're going to come back out of that park, and we're going to head up the road a bit and have lunch at a delightful place called Gibbs Farm. Everything they serve, they grow there, and it's kind of on the mountainside heading up to the crater. So Barb and I have eaten there before a few times. It's a great kind of respite to hit there. After lunch, we'll head on up the crater. You're on really good roads. We get to the actual entrance to the. It's not, the crater isn't a national park. It's a conservation area. But all of these parks you have to stop and check into. They only allow so many people in a day. So we'll stop at a facility, and that is notorious for having baboons that are begging all the time and climbing on the vehicles and checking to make sure everybody rolled their windows up. But they've got a restroom, a little snack bar there. And they've got a pretty good scale model 3D of the crater itself, so you can kind of get an idea of what you're going to go up to. The road gets a little hairy going up. You're driving up switchbacks up a mountainside until we get to our camp there, Lion's Paw. We stayed at the Great Big Hotel last time, and it was okay, but it was so big. It's just enormous. So we opted this time to go back to a little more rustic. Now the rooms are great, and it's only got 15 units. So it should be quite delightful. And if you sit at the bar and have your binoculars, it says that you may be able to see elephants down in the crater. So always a delight. We are there 2 nights. The next day we'll get up and have breakfast. We'll have a nice dinner there. They always start a campfire. That's pretty traditional. Very relaxing evening. And the next morning we'll get up, have breakfast, and then we'll head straight down into the crater. And we'll spend most of the day in the crater. We saw a lot of lions last time we were down there. Hyena, a lot of they do have black rhinos, and it's one of the few places that they still have wild herds of them. But the game rangers, the wardens, really, if the park gets too busy, they keep traffic away from them. They don't want the poachers to know where they might be. So there's still a very, very, unfortunately, there's a high dollar value on rhino horn, which is pretty tragic. So we're down there most of the day. We'll take lunch and have it down there. There are restroom breaks. There are restrooms, a couple of different places. It's a wonderful experience. The crater is, I think, 11 miles across, and just about everything that you can imagine is down there, except female elephants. For some reason, females don't go down. There are male elephants down there, but no females. But there's breeding lions, just lots and lots of wildlife down there. And it's because that crater rim kind of confines it. it's a pretty unique experience to be in there. We'll stay that day there. We'll go back out. Somewhere in here, we're going to go to a Maasai village. It's a must do to see how the natives live, and they still live that way. The Maasai are herders, cattle. Their wealth is measured in the number of cattle they have, and they still live in mud huts and survive on nature itself. And they do a good job. We'll go to a village and see how they live and talk to folks, get a tour. And of course, they have
They'll try and sell you things.
trinkets, and they'll want to sell you something. Yeah, they always have stuff for sale. But the stuff they're selling is usually $10 and under. But it's beaded jewelry and things they make by hand. So it's an experience. It's a must do. From the crater, then we load up. Originally, they had us staying 4 nights out in the Serengeti, but we've opted to stop 1 night in the Nadutu area, which is just south of the it's land that's attached to the Serengeti National Park, but it's south of the park officially. It's more of a conservation area. And we had a great time there in 2019. At the time we went in 2019, we saw the migration when we left on the day we were leaving there. They were all the animals that had their calves, and this was February. And probably that day we saw 1 million animals. Now they've moved on. The migration moves all the time, and they'll be up in the Serengeti when the time of year that we get there. So we'll stay 1 night there. There are nice facilities. There is a swimming pool there. It's I think there's 15 or 20 suites there. They're pretty nice though. After dinner, when we were there in 2019, the units, the lodges, had a screened-in porch with real comfortable furniture on it, so you can take a glass of wine back and just sit and listen to the sounds of the night. That place also had an outdoor shower,
Which is really fun. It sounds really awful,
Amazing.
but it's really fun.
yeah.
Get
And we
her
brought
in the shower.
we brought everybody home from that trip. So
The shower is attached to your room, so you don't have to like walk outside or anything.
yeah.
But you look up and there's stars in the sky and you hear things, you think you hear things. And it's just really a nice experience.
Yeah, it's not what you think of when you hear outdoor shower.
No,
It's
it's really nice.
complete tiled, large area with multiple shower heads. There's just no roof on it. So it's gorgeous.
It's very
And it's
nice.
nice hot water. So
Yeah.
nice.
And all-
and flamingos.
Yeah, it's
We saw a lot of flamingos there.
Mhm.
yeah.
In the shower.
In the shower, Bill?
Not in the shower.
Not in
Okay.
the shower.
In the shower, they said.
No, well, I don't know about that,
On the leg. On the leg.
I think I was dressed when I saw them.
So every place we're staying has flush toilets, hot running water,
Yeah, it's
electricity.
way different than when we used to go.
Yeah,
But
I
this
think
is
every
all-
one of them has a hair dryer in the room.
Hmm.
And if you want a bottle of wine, they'll bring you one.
Now,
The
here's the problem with the hairdryer, though. The rooms they're on, a lot of it is run on generators. So they'll run the generators for a certain amount of time during the day from, I don't know what it was, if it was like 6 a.m. till 5 p.m. or something, they don't run them. And then anyway, they run them and I got confused and did it opposite of when they run it. So I went down to dinner with wet hair because I couldn't dry my hair. So you just have to kind of look and see when they're going to run the generators. But that's
So Barb does a crash course in clock management. AM, PM. um, No. So we're at Mossack one evening. We get breakfast there the next morning. I think I think one of the groups, we saw cheetah there also. And Mossack, we saw lions up in trees. And
Ooh.
both
Yeah,
both
which
groups,
is
both
really
groups,
cool.
we took 2 groups last time. And both groups saw lions there. And I think both saw lions in trees, which was really, really amazing. And then we had a fabulous sight for our sundowner that evening, right on the lake. Great sunset pictures.
Bill, that's where we did all the selfies
Yeah.
with my selfie stick.
And a sundowner can be anything from stopping the vehicle and throwing down the tailgate and mixing drinks and handing around cans of peanuts or something. At this place, they took us out to Lakeside and they had tables set up, a full bar, mixing any kind of drink you wanted. Really, really roughing. The toughest part there is the bathroom. The bathroom there was behind the nearest bush.
Done that.
Yeah.
And you
So
know, Mary Pat, you remember what happened to me. You saw my leg.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
where I fell behind a tree trying to do that. So you just
Oh,
have to kind of pay more attention than I
be
did.
careful.
Yeah.
yeah. But she did that when she was trying to make sure nobody could see her peeing. So
Something
yeah.
we've not seen before.
Yeah, that's right. Tell
thing.
her that. So we leave Mossack. We're there one night. It's in and out quick, but it's a really nice place. And the units there were pretty large sized. I think as we normally do, Barb and I will get somewhere and we'll take everything out of our suitcase, throw it all over the place, and then come back after dinner and stuff it all back in the suitcase.
Well, a lot of times I don't take it out though. Just you.
Yeah. Then we'll have breakfast the next morning, and then we drive to the Serengeti. We'll stop at the official entrance gate at Nabi. It's called Nabi Hill. And out there in the middle of nowhere, there's a hill that kind of rises up, and that's where they put the entrance gate to the Serengeti. And then from there, we just kind of mosey along on the Serengeti, in the Serengeti. We're game driving pretty much all the time because we are really officially in the wild out there. There's nothing, absolutely nothing but the whatever native population might live around, and then there's really no towns. Thank God there's no telephone poles. It's very, very peaceful, very calm. And we're just looking for, by that time, you'll be expert game spotters. And we just look for anything and everything because it's just all out there. We go through Nabi Gate, then we head to the our camp, the Serengeti. And that one I really liked. It's a little different. Last time we stayed in an area that was more rocky. It was Kopis. This time we're kind of out on the plains and staying at Serengeti camp. Now, there are 2 places on this trip that you can get laundry done. One of them is up at the crater. And because we're there 2 nights, what they'll do is they'll have you put, if you have laundry you want done, you put it in a basket and they'll pick it up that morning. We go out on the game drive and they wash it, get it dried. Sometimes they dry it by laying it over a bush and letting it sit in the sun.
So
So,
if you take anything, I bought this cute little yellow top for one of our trips, and I wore it once and gave it to him to wash. And when I got it back, it was no longer yellow. because they laid it over a bush, and that hot sun just totally wiped out the color. So I say, don't take anything that's really good.
No designer clothes. No designer clothes needed, really. So
Yeah.
we're out in the Serengeti for 3 nights, and it's the daily routine is the same: morning game drive, afternoon game drive. We built 2 sundowners in the first 2 nights there. We didn't build one in the last night because that's when you're feverishly packing and kind of you got a tear
And
in
you
your
kind of
eye.
want to, yeah, you kind of want to relax around the fire and just kind of hang out. So
Yeah. But the drinks, they'll have drinks and all that sort of thing. Now, this is the place in the Serengeti. I forget, Bill, Carolyn, did you take the balloon ride? Yeah.
We
This
did.
is the,
Yes, and I was gonna ask you if there was. that
there
was-
will be, yes, you'll be able to sign up for
I'm not
that.
sure where it is though, but I know there's going to be a balloon ride. So
Well, but you have to sign up for it.
yeah,
There is an upcharge for it. And what they like to do is they'll come in for our group and just say, who wants to go on one? Anybody that does, you sign up, and then they get you all the
It was
morning,
amazing.
the morning of
Really.
it.
I mean, if you're going and you
It was
haven't
really
done that
spectacular.
before, for sure you should do it. Like I had to
Yeah.
talk him into it and he
I-
loved
I
it.
was pretty determined not to go. But it really turned out to be a
Amazing.
wonderful experience.
It's an experience. Barb and I have done it twice. I forget what it's what is it, in the neighborhood of
It's-
$500 a person.
I don't think I think
no,
it
I
was
don't think it was that much.
I
I
think
think
it was a little less last time.
300, but it was worth it. You don't, once you're in it, you don't think about the money. It was just amazing.
So we will have information on that. Barb and I have gone, Bill and Carolyn have gone. I don't think anybody else. We may have another couple that's been in Africa, but I don't know what countries they've been in, but we've got some newbies. So
Yeah,
they may do it. They usually do that. I don't think they did that the last day. They did it maybe the
no, it
second
wasn't the
morning,
last day.
there.
Yeah, and Julia and David are going to, Mary Pat, and I don't know if well, I know they've never been to Africa, but I don't know if David could get Julia up in a balloon.
Julia's a little reluctant.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah.
She's
She's
They
reluctant
don't
about the
go,
whole
they don't
trip.
go as high as you think they would. They really just go to the treetops because they want you to be able to see the animals below you,
Oh,
which
the
kind of
view.
frustrated me, but it really is better. So it's not as scary as it sounds.
Yeah.
We saw the largest concentration of hippos
Mhm.
from the balloon. Although we'd seen quite a few, but it's a beautiful ride.
Yeah.
and Beautiful.
It's
country.
amazing. The worst part of it, I think they pick you up at 4:30 in the morning.
Because you want to see the sunrise.
Yeah, you do get there for the sunrise.
Yeah, get up there, and you kind of watch them set up the balloons and are part of that. Then you jump in the basket. They hold 10, 12 people a basket, something like that, if I remember right.
Mhm.
Well, you're in a little slot like eggs, but there's plenty of room.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, it's all right. No, maybe it
And
doesn't.
did they launch 2 or 3 when you went up?
There were 3, I believe. With
3,
us.
yeah. And then they land. They've got a pre-designated landing site, and when it comes down, they pick you up in the safari vehicles and take you to an elegant Serengeti Plains champagne breakfast,
Mm.
which is to die for. And you're just out in the
It's
absolute middle of
It was
nowhere,
nice.
having champagne and made to order omelets, and it's just the service is just absolutely unbelievable.
Once in a lifetime.
Yeah,
Maybe
it is.
twice.
And then they give you a certificate and a little lapel pin that you did the
Yeah,
trip.
Mary Pat will really enjoy that.
Yeah.
I'd be sorry if you don't
Well, Pat,
go.
you can stay
So
back
Pat,
with
you
us
may
and
you
go
may be
drive.
solo that day with us.
4 a.m. doesn't sound like it's in my wheelhouse.
Oh.
I kind of liked watching the sunrise from my bed.
Perfect.
So we have since we're in the Serengeti so many days, we do explore a number of parts of the park. It is so big,
Huge, huge.
and that's will be our really should be our best chance of finding leopards. Just really everything that we'll try to see where the migration is at that point. I think it's kind of up in the what I'd call the north west corner of the park, and if animals are there, the guides just work their butts off to try to find anything and everything. And you can tell them what you really want to see, and
Yeah,
they
that's what I
will
was
they will
thinking.
never promise anything because they don't want to disappoint people. But if you tell them your heart is set on seeing something, a leopard or a cheetah, they will work their rear ends off to find them. And they track. Pat, you'll love this. They drive their Land Rovers with one hand. They got their head out the window looking at the sand road beneath them, and they can identify every damn animal track there is. They know how long it's been there. They know what direction they're going, and the animals use those sand roads as their highways in the night because it's the path of least resistance. They'll get out there where there isn't any brush. So you think, well, why are we staying on the roads? Well, that's where they find the tracks, and they know what's been there, when it's been there. And then also every morning when you get up, no matter what camp you're in, the breakfast discussion is, what did you hear in the night? How close do you
Yeah.
think it was to our tent? And are there any tracks around that say we've had a lion in the camp, a leopard in the camp, hyena in the camp,
Yes,
elephants in the camp? Yeah. But there is a kind of a standing rule. They after dinner, one of the camp staff walks you back to your room. Make sure you're tucked in. They have
Because it's dark and they don't
yeah,
want you
and
out there roaming around in the dark with.
and it is dangerous, and this stuff can kill
Yeah.
you. But they have each camp has their own security system. They have radios in the tents. If you hear something or get spooked by something, if they don't have radios, they may have air horns. They have whistles. Their biggest rule is when you get inside your facility for the night, stay in. Call us if you need us. Contact us, and that's usually a pretty easy rule to follow.
But they are very, very nice and interesting people. And they have provide you with a very confident feel for your security. We had animals up very close and personal, including a leopard by the tent one night. But yet we never felt uncomfortable about that. They're just as fine a group of people as I've known.
Yeah, it's really amazing. And if you want, they have luxury items like hot water bottles if it's chilly out. If you want a hot water bottle to take to bed, they help. There's usually a cooler full of them down at the restaurant area, bar area before you go to bed. The sky is dark. It's back to the old days of no light pollution.
You can see the Milky Way. It's so clear.
Easy. Yeah.
The bush babies.
Yeah,
And
the bush babies. Bush babies. That's what they call hot water bottles. Which is also a little primate. So then on the final day, we will be taken to the airport, and it's a modern block building, concrete, nice restrooms. And everybody, in the olden days, we used to drive back from the Serengeti to Arusha, and it was 6 hours in a Land Rover driving as fast as they could over gravel roads. But now everybody flies back now. And then we'll be picked up at the Arusha airport, which is different than the Kilimanjaro airport that we fly into. It's a small airport that's over fairly close to where our the coffee lodge is, and we'll stop at the cultural center to pick up souvenirs We'll have lunch there and then go back to the coffee lodge for a day room where you can take a shower, repack. We'll have dinner there, and then they take us out to the airport. All the planes, every international flight leaves there in the evening because it's easier with the heat. It's easier for them to take off in cooler weather without that sun beating down on them. So everything takes off. Our plane will leave 9:30, 10 o'clock. We do take a 1 hour, 30-minute flight over to Zanzibar. And on the way home, they stop there. Few people get on, a few people get off. Then we head north to Amsterdam, and then back. So that's kind of the trip. Lynette, what did I fail to mention?
Anybody have any questions other than
Yeah.
clothing? Because clothing,
So
I
when
mean,
when you come home, do you lay over in Amsterdam or you just do the whole thing?
Well, we're looking into the it's a long damn trip home. There's absolutely nothing good about it other than you get on a plane and you're just on it.
You go
Seems
home,
like for 3 days. But we're looking into yeah, you can stop in Amsterdam for a night or two. We're looking into a couple of possibilities to go somewhere for 2 or 3, 4 days on the way home.
Randy, stop that.
What's that?
Stop pulling at your face.
Oh,
Okay, keep going.
stop that. Thank God she's in another room. So we're looking into that, Mary Pat. Amsterdam
One
is,
of the trips we took there, we couldn't go with the rest of the group because they ran out of seats. And so we went to Amsterdam, stayed all night, and then flew the second leg the next day. And it was really kind of nice. I mean, because you had an opportunity to kind of adjust to the time,
yeah,
because what is it, 7 hours difference? 6
I
or 7
think
hours.
so. 6 or
And
7.
And it was, I didn't mind that at all. And coming back, what are you looking at, Randy? Are you and Lynette talking about possibilities or what?
No, I'm letting you talk, honey.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm done.
No, we'll look at that. If there's somewhere you know of or have an idea, let us know. David Israel would love to go back down to he'd love to go to Cape Town. And Lynette has looked at that a bit, and it's doable, but it is, you would think that
Hours.
you'd think of the big airport in the Kilimanjaro airport in Tanzania. You could jump a flight real easy and go to Cape Town or Johannesburg and jump another flight. It's not easy. That's a big ass continent. And most travelers that go to East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania come into Africa through Europe. If you go to Southern Africa, you pretty much just fly from the US, from either DC or Atlanta, all the way to Cape Town or Johannesburg, one flight. And so it just
15 hours.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just too much.
So did
But
you
if
say you're
every-
gonna stop in Zanzibar?
We've never gotten off there. I don't know what there is to do there.
I think it's really cool. I've looked it up before.
Lynette, do you want to explore
Sure,
Zanzibar?
I can definitely do that.
Yes, please.
And also, if anyone wants to try to do an extra time at Kilimanjaro, I know
Yep.
that's a big separate
He
trip.
wants to hike Kilimanjaro, but I
I
started
don't want to do that.
Yeah.
the whole trip.
Okay, I'll withdraw.
You can do that. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
Do you have any ballpark figures on the airfare from from,
Yeah,
Lynette,
here to there.
kind of taking a look at it today, and we're looking at, let me just pull it back up here. Business class was running anywhere from about 9,500 to about 11,000, depending on if you made a stop in Amsterdam or not. I was looking at some premium economy, it was running around 5,500. And then economy was around 2,700. But I can take a look at more options and get that all put together and send it out to everyone.
And that was that
Yeah.
KLM?
Yeah, that was Delta and KLM
Yeah,
together.
Delta and KLM.
Mhm.
Delta is a partner with KLM. And it's a very good, efficient way to get there, going through Amsterdam.
Mhm.
And who knows, as we get into fall airfares, where everybody is so madly traveling right now.
Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy, absolutely crazy.
well, everything's crazy.
Yeah.
But you would just have to do, what did you say our options was, business class or?
Premium economy or economy. They may have some of the with Delta, they call it the Delta Comfort class, which gives you the extra legroom.
Which
And
I
that's-
need.
Is that what they call their premium
economy.
economy?
Yeah, the premiums, it's there's the Delta Comfort, which has the extra legroom, and then they've got the Premium Select, I think is what Delta calls it, which is an actual separate class between economy and business class. So that gives you a seat that reclines a bit and a little extra legroom, and then you've got the business class.
And so that
We've
that
actually
first night
taken-
we fly overnight, and then the second leg you're traveling during the day.
Mhm.
We've actually chosen that sort of better economy on almost every flight anywhere in the world, and have really not found it to be a particular problem. If you have certain specific needs, then you might need to certainly upgrade as well. But I think you can be as comfortable with just a long flight.
Mhm.
A long
You can
flight.
make that work.
Yeah, well, I probably would before I do the 9,500.
Yeah, yeah. So and we do have Mary Pat, there's a luggage limit of weight. It is they really discourage wheeled luggage, hard-sided, hard frame luggage. They prefer soft-sided luggage because two things. We ride traditionally on these trips, we ride in small planes. They've got a better option coming out of Serengeti now, but we're we're in 8-passenger Land Rovers the entire trip, and they have to take the bags with us everywhere, and they stuff them in the back and under seats. So there really is no place for hard-sided or framed or wheeled luggage. But
It's just
we'll
hard.
help you with that. And they in this brochure, it says 33 pounds, total luggage, everything. Lynette's
Not
gonna
double
check
check
and
on
see if we're coming back on a jet. Last time, surprisingly, coming out of Tanzania, and we'd flown it before on small prop planes, and all of a sudden there's a pretty good sized jet that shows up.
We're like, that isn't ours.
Yeah, it was really nice flying back. It took about 30 minutes. So they've added that option in, and Gilt Edge, who were using this time, they found better airlines than the previous company we used. So Lynette's on that.
But
I'll
At
double
least
check
if
that
you
for
can up the weight a bit.
Yeah,
Weight
we'll try.
limits are scary, but it's really not a problem at all, because these clothes are so lightweight that you're
Yeah.
taking anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mary
Yeah.
Pat, do you guys take photos? I mean, or do you have cameras or do you just take
No,
photos? on
we
your
don't, we
phone?
don't have cameras, but I was told I should rent one to bring.
Well, yeah, you probably should. But I should say that like that, but if you're, that's a lot of weight, because when you see what Bill brings, a lot of weight, but, and that was part of your 33 pounds. So
Yeah.
literally, I was throwing shorts out of the suitcase to try and get down to the weight so I could take my camera. But now, I mean, they're letting you take a lot more. So
But a lot of people now go with just their cell phone. The
cell
cameras
phone,
are
yeah.
so good on the cell phones that I don't think anybody's ever come back and said, "Oh my God, I wish I did or wish I didn't."
Well,
It depends on how you want to remember the trip.
yeah.
Um,
And if you can get now we had one guy who, I don't know where he went and got this, but he had a little Nikon that was, God, little tiny and didn't weigh anything, that he went to a camera store and they sold it to him. And it was really good and it wasn't real heavy, and it would take far out pictures. If you could get something like that, that would be all you'd need.
Okay.
There are, you can travel very light. Carolyn has what is generally considered as the very, very best of the small travel cameras. But we tend to travel heavier than that, and we do a lot of photography.
Well, you do.
But surprisingly, the 33 pounds, when I thought I had 20 pounds of camera gear, it really turned out that we never had a problem with the weight limit.
yeah.
Okay, and
And
also you will need to take malaria medicine. And they'll want to make sure your tetanus shot is up to date. And I don't know, there's a travel clinic on 470 and Row. And it is
435 and row.
for 435 and Row. And you go in there and you just sit down with them. I've even gotten my tetanus shot there.
Yeah.
And you just tell them where you're going, and she'll tell you everything you need. If you want her to give you sleeping pills so you can sleep on the plane, she'll give you a prescription for that, but she'll only give you like 3 pills. And she'll give you, always get an antibiotic, and they give you that, or prescriptions for that. They'll just give you anything you need. And it's just so easy to do.
And we'll give you the contact info for that, how to make an appointment and when to go. The malaria is the big thing.
So
And then,
what vaccinations do you need?
I truly don't
You're not going
remember.
to need, we have everything because we've gone so many times, but you don't really need that much. I don't know. You'll need,
They usually ask for your, the standard vaccinations, that you normally get, like the flu, tetanus, hepatitis, a lot of the vaccinations that you already have.
and you need to definitely tell her how old you are, because there is one vaccination that they always try and tell you need, but you don't need it after a certain age. Then they just say you shouldn't take it. So, it's really pretty simple, and
Yeah.
it's not that much. The pill that you take, I think do you take that once a week? Anybody remember?
I don't remember. For malaria.
The malaria pill? Is
It
that
dep-
once a week?
It depends on what you use. The preferred malaria prophylaxis would be the Malarone, which you take every day. Start 2 or 3 days before, and you take it for a week when you get back. It's well tolerated. It's not a problem. Much less complicated, and actually it's better protection than the other 3 or 4 different options on taking malaria prophylaxis. So it's very, very easy. It costs a little bit more, but it's
Well,
not.
and she'll tell you, at the travelers clinic, they'll tell you what the going thing is right now and what the doctors are recommending for this time, in history. And, she'll tell you, well, I have a problem taking Cipro, and she said that Cipro really isn't that good for you after a certain age, that you shouldn't take it. So, I mean, and I asked her to give me a Z-Pack because I get sinus headaches, and that works for me with sinus infections. And, she'll just give it to you, give you prescriptions. And so you feel really well protected when you go, that you've got plus you're traveling with other people. So if you get a cold or you need something, somebody's got something,
Somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, we know somebody.
Yeah. Bill travels real heavy. He used to be a doctor.
Well, he still is a doctor, honey.
Bill is a doctor.
He not only played one on television, he is a real one. Yeah. A good
He
guy
took
to have
care
along.
He's the guy that took care of me after I fell down, Mary Pat. He came up to
Oh,
my room
all
every
right.
day and
Good to
rebandaged
know.
me. Yeah.
Well, we've been twice to Africa, and there really hasn't been, no
Other than
one
me.
became seriously ill. We had a little bit of diarrhea on the first trip,
Yeah.
I think, but I don't recall anyone having
Yeah.
particular
For more than
problems.
a day.
Yeah.
Pretty minor stuff.
We
So
talked about cameras, but you would want binoculars too.
Binoculars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
At least one
Binoculars.
pair between a couple. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the travel ones are okay, but if you have something a little bigger, it's so much better. We do an awful lot of binocular looking.
Yeah. Yeah, we ended up in preparation buying two nice pairs of binoculars, and we took one, we just shared them because we always had a camera around the neck also.
Yeah. So that's kind of the day-to-day of the trip. What to look forward to, what it is. Lynette's going to talk a little bit about down payment, when stuff is due. We're booking this one kind of so late in the process. They do have rooms reserved for 6 rooms reserved everywhere, but they're kind of leaning on Lynette to get the deal done if she can. And then the option when we tried to travel during COVID, we did have some real issues, and I think everybody that had travel insurance, everybody came out okay on it. But I think there is travel insurance available. So Lynette, you want to talk about that just a little bit?
Sure. So in regards to the down payment, so the deposit that we have for the trip would be it's $3,600 per person. And we'd probably need that as soon as you can make that commitment. Once we have all the deposits collected and we commit with the safari company, we'll need to get that sent to them right away. With the deposits, they ask for check form of payment, so we would need the deposit by check. We can certainly take it by credit card. However, there's a convenience fee that would be attached to it, and we can go over that once you decide to make that payment for deposit. And then the final payment will come up on February 15th that we'll have to submit for final payment for the trip. And then for insurance, our company Cruise Holidays works with Allianz Travel Insurance, and Allianz offers 3 different plans that you can do. Each one has a little bit of a variance as far as coverages for medical. So we've got the Journey plan, which is like the base plan that will give you, I'm just going to kind of think about the coverages right now for medical and emergency evacuation. So the Journey plan gives you about $50,000 in medical expense, and it gives you, let's bring it up here real quick, $500,000 in emergency transportation. There is another plan that provides more, which is it's the Latitude. It gives you $100,000 in medical expense and $1 million in emergency transportation. And then we've got a third plan, and both of these plans will
So
cover.
for the second one with $1 million in transportation, you can just buy the plane.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you think in terms of emergency transportation, that means to the nearest hospital. So depending upon your condition, they're going to first transport you to the nearest hospital and then determine from there where you may need to go after that, if you need to go somewhere. And then all of these plans would include trip cancellation. The Journey and the Latitude plan have specific reasons for cancellation. The main reasons that I see are if you're so ill, you're not able to travel per doctor's orders before you leave, then you can submit a claim for the trip cancellation penalties. Or if you have a death in the family, immediate family, then, or care for a family member, then you're able to submit a claim. We also see sometimes if your home's made inhabitable due to a tornado or something like that, then that's also a covered reason. And those are the main ones. However, they do have some other ones, and I can send more plan details to you for that. And then the third plan we have is called Classic. It's a classic with cancel anytime. It's where they have a little bit more flexibility in your cancellation terms. So it's basically, you're covered at 100% on the covered reasons across the board for all three of them. But for the cancel anytime, it has more flexibility for unforeseen reasons, which they would pay out at 80% on the claim. They do have some exclusions on the unforeseen reasons, such as pandemic or endemic is excluded from that. But pretty much mostly, if you have something that when you booked the safari, let's say, 4 months later, you have a granddaughter or something that's getting married, then that's considered an unforeseen reason, and you can submit a claim to get the percentage back.
Okay,
Now, the only difference on that one is your medical expense is a little bit lower, or it's about the same as the Journey. You'd have the 50,000 in medical and 100,000 in medical evacuation.
So can you
But
send
does that mean-
policy
so that's-
info to everybody?
Yeah, yep. I
Yeah.
can send you some overviews for each one. And then the cost is based on sometimes the trip length, the age at the time that you take out your insurance. And so I can't, once I get your birth dates, then I can send you an actual quote with the costs on that.
Yeah, sorry, Pat.
No. Does it mean if one of us gets sick, then both of us get to cancel?
Yeah, it has the travel companion benefit. So if one of you gets sick, then you can submit for both of you.
What's the total cost of the trip?
The total cost is $11,904 per person. And so that's going to include all your accommodations, your meals, your drinks. It'll include the visa fee for you. It's got your park entrance fees included, the flight from Serengeti back to Arusha. So
And
the
tips.
main cost would be your international flights to get to Kilimanjaro.
So
And travel insurance, of course.
we put tips in there too.
Oh, gratuities, yes.
Yeah, gratuities. If there's somebody in a camp that does something special, you want to slip them a couple bucks, that's fine. A lot of people do that, but we cover all of the tips, all the drinks, unless you want the high end stuff. We tried to be as inclusive, so up front, these aren't cheap trips, but if you put everything in there, and really, it's pretty much covered other than your international flight and souvenirs.
I think Mary Pat's gonna want a souvenir.
Probably that Tanzanite.
Probably.
I think so.
Yeah.
Probably so.
I already got I'm already shopping.
Well, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah. So any other questions? We're available. I'm available anytime. Lynette, you've got her email address, or call her. She's very good about getting back to you with answers if you have specific questions.
She's the best.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's nothing like a trip to Africa. There's absolutely, we've been a lot of places. They're just,
Life-changing.
it is life-changing. Yeah.
There is not. And we, as we had talked with Randy and Barb before, our response after each of the trips was, we're going next time. Where are we going?
Where are we going? Yeah. Yeah. And I think this will be the 15th group we've taken, and we haven't gotten tired of it. It's that kind of place. And the wine is very good because it's all South African. They really, what you find is an awful lot of South Africa is really known for whites, and their Chenin Blanc, I think, is one of their I
Because
think
they
we
have a lot of Chardonnay.
a Chardonnay. Well, last time to Tanzania, they had to send
That's
an
what I
emergency
was
wine
joking.
truck in. We drank them dry.
It was marked for Carolyn on the outside.
No, bar. It's all bar.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's
Yeah.
that too. But that's just the sub-definition of sundowner.
Yeah. And we do recommend whatever you pack, don't pack anything that fits you snugly.
True.
Okay.
This is not a trip where you lose an ounce. You know, you pretty much sit on your ass all day and drink and eat, and the food is absolutely out of this world. The service is out of this world.
It is.
People are so
And
nice.
I think
And the
the most-
people are out of this world.
I
Yeah.
think the most remarkable thing for me, having been twice, is how really up close and personal we get with the animals.
It's
Because for
amazing.
us, it's really all
Yeah.
about the animals.
Yeah.
And it's just been,
And we travel, I mean,
we travel quite a bit. so.
not as much as I'd like, but some people think we travel a lot and we've been a lot of places and this is the one we would not give up.
If I had to give up everything else, Africa would stay on the schedule.
So we're in, Lynette.
Yeah.
I think she knew that part.
25.
So let us know. We're only going to take, there'll be 12 total people. That's all we got space for. So Barb and I and 5 other couples. So
Okay.
if you're leaning
We'll
that
let you
way,
know
let
soon.
Lynette, let Lynette know. And if you got any questions, please, for God's sakes, let us know.
All right. Appreciate it.
Hey,
Thank
guys,
you.
Okay.
thank you. We got a dinner we're a little late for, but I
Okay.
appreciate all the time. so.
All right. Well, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate that too. So thank you all.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Goodbye.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.